My wife said she felt safe with me, so she moved in with my brother after cheating. She called it a moment. He called it a mistake. But I'd read the journal, and I knew the truth. My name is Darren. I'm 39, and up until 3 weeks ago, I thought I was in a rock-solid marriage. Rachel and I had been together since our late 20s, 10 years married, 12 total. We owned a small house just outside St. Paul, Minnesota. We didn't have kids, but we built a life, shared routines, lazy Sunday breakfasts, inside jokes, the whole thing. We weren't flashy, but we were steady. Or so I thought. The journal was tucked into a torn paper bag in the corner of our garage, part of a donation pile Rachel asked me to drop off. She had left it by the door, marked Goodwill. It was Saturday morning. She was at brunch with her sister. I figured I'd knock the errand out before football started. The journal was old, leather-bound, worn. No title, no name. I only noticed it because the corner of it was sticking out, and I thought, why would she give away something like this? I pulled it out, meaning to set it aside. But the cover fell open, and curiosity got the better of me. The first page was dated March 3, 2019. I almost laughed. I'd forgotten she used to journal. But what made me pause was the title she'd scribbled under the date. I don't know if I love him anymore. I sat down on the steps leading into the garage, journal resting on my thigh. My hands were numb. I told myself she probably meant her job, or a friend, or something else. But I knew. I kept reading. Each entry hit like a body blow. She talked about how bored she was. How she felt like we were just roommates with rings. She wrote about a guy she reconnected with on Instagram, a flame that never quite went out. She never said his name. But she mentioned he was married now. They'd started messaging last winter. Just catching up. And soon she was daydreaming about his mouth. March became April. The entries darkened. She started describing her guilt. She wanted to stop talking to him but didn't. She said I'd become predictable, safe, like a warm coat with holes in it. Something you keep because it's familiar, even though it doesn't keep you warm anymore. By the time I reached June, I knew they'd met in person. The entry was short. We kissed. I let it happen. I think I wanted to prove to myself that I could still be desired. Still dangerous. I closed the journal. I remember sitting there silent. It was cold in the garage, and I didn't feel it. I just stared at the wall for a long time, wondering how many nights I'd kissed her while she was thinking about someone else. How many smiles were fake. How many I love yous were just good manners. She came home a little after noon. The garage door was still open. I'd brought the journal inside and placed it on the kitchen counter. When she walked in, she noticed it immediately. Her smile froze. You found that? I didn't speak. I didn't need to. She reached for it, but I put my hand on top of it. Not violently, just firm. I read enough, I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. She sat down slowly. No denials. No outrage. Just a quiet, exhausted exhale, like someone finally giving up a lie they'd been holding too long. I never meant for you to see that, she whispered. And that was the part that gutted me the most. Not that she did it, but that she never planned to tell me. We didn't fight that day. Not really. She cried. I didn't. She started explaining, words spilling out like water through a cracked dam. She said it wasn't an affair, just a moment. She said she stopped messaging him months ago. She said it didn't go any further. But I'd read enough to know she wasn't telling the truth. Not all of it. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I just listened, staring at her like she was a stranger who happened to have my wife's face. At one point she asked, "Do you hate me?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Hate would have meant I still had something left to give. All I felt was hollow. That night, I slept in the guest room. She didn't protest. The next few days were weirdly civil. We kept moving around each other like roommates who didn't want to wake the baby. I went to work. Came home. Ate in silence. She stopped trying to talk. The journal disappeared from the counter. I didn't ask where it went. Then, one evening, I got a text from someone I hadn't spoken to in over 2 years. My younger brother Liam. Hey, can we talk? I owe you something. My stomach dropped. Liam and I had always been close, until one day, Out of nowhere, he ghosted me. Blocked me on everything. Didn't show up to our family's Christmas gathering. I assumed it was about money or some stupid grudge. I stopped trying after a while. Let it go. But now, his message came the week after I found the journal. We met at a dive bar the next day. I kept things polite. He looked nervous, more than I'd ever seen him. After one drink, he just blurted it out. It was me. I blinked. What? He couldn't look me in the eye. In Rachel's journal. The guy. It was me. I didn't say a word. My brain was still buffering. I swear to you, Darren, it wasn't supposed to happen. We reconnected at Mom's birthday party. She said you two were going through stuff. She started texting. I let it happen. I stared at him, trying to connect this version of him to the brother I used to look up to. My own flesh and blood. My best man at the wedding. She came over. Once, he said. That's all. Just once. I didn't even feel the punch land. But I stood up and swung anyway. Fist met jaw. He fell off the stool. The bartender yelled. Someone grabbed me from behind. But in that moment, I wasn't in the bar. I was back at the wedding, watching Liam clink champagne glasses with Rachel. I was back at that family barbecue, when she said she was running to the store. And he offered to go with her. I was back in our kitchen, me washing dishes while she laughed at something he texted her. All the pieces started clicking. I walked out before the cops got called. Got in my truck. Drove until the sky went dark. When I got home, she was sitting on the couch, knees tucked under her like a little girl waiting to be scolded. I didn't speak. I just stood there, waiting for her to say it. She did. I didn't know how to tell you, she said. I didn't want to lose everything. You already did, I said. That night, I didn't sleep in the guest room. I drove to a Motel 6 and sat on the edge of a bed that wasn't mine, staring at the door. I wasn't just angry, I was embarrassed. Humiliated. And beneath that, a rotting core of something worse. I still loved her. And I hated myself for it. I didn't tell anyone for a while. Not my parents. Not my friends. I just let the world think we were working through something, while I unraveled alone. Rachel kept texting. She didn't beg or rage, she just sent small messages. I miss you. Please talk to me. I made a mistake. But it didn't have to end like this. But it did. It had to. Because once trust is gone, love doesn't stand a chance. Not real love. Not the kind that lasts when things get ugly. I filed for separation 3 weeks after finding the journal. She didn't contest it. She moved in with her sister. I kept the house, mostly because I couldn't stand the thought of anyone else living in it. I should have felt free. But I didn't. I felt like I'd been cut in half. And then came the final blow. I was going through the attic, boxing up old holiday decorations when I found an unmarked cardboard container, one we hadn't touched in years. Inside were old photos, vacation souvenirs, and a white envelope labeled, "In case Darren ever finds out." My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter. Her handwriting. Messy. Emotional. The first line read, "I never wanted to love him. But I did." I read every word. It wasn't just a confession, it was a eulogy. For us. For what we used to be. She wrote about how Liam made her feel. Seen, alive, and curious again. She said I was a good man, a safe man, but she never felt like I needed her. That with me, she always felt like a supporting actress in a movie she didn't write. She admitted she considered leaving me 2 years ago, but Liam told her not to. He said I didn't deserve that. The irony made me laugh. A bitter, choking kind of laugh. She ended the letter by saying if I ever found it, she hoped I'd understand. Not forgive. Just understand. I didn't. But I realized something in that moment. I'd spent our entire relationship trying to be the stable one. The anchor. The provider. The problem solver. And somewhere along the way, she'd confused my steadiness for absence. My calm for indifference. Maybe that's on me. Maybe not. But it was clear now, I didn't just lose a wife. I lost years of my life trying to hold up a version of love that only existed in my head. I burned the letter that night in the fire pit out back. Watched the paper curl and vanish. A week later, Liam sent another message. Mom's birthday is coming up. You coming? I didn't reply. Instead, I sent a group text to my parents and siblings. Rachel and I are done. Liam was involved. Please respect that I need distance from both of them. If you can't, then you've made your choice. My dad replied with a thumbs up. My sister said she was sorry and she understood. Mom never responded. I guess that told me everything I needed to know. People say betrayal makes you angry. That's not entirely true. It makes you hollow. Like someone reached into your chest, scooped everything out, and left you with just the echo of who you were supposed to be. For the first time in my adult life, I didn't have a routine. No shared morning coffee. No sarcastic back and forth with Rachel over dinner. No one to call when I found something stupid on sale at Costco. I was free. But freedom, it turns out, is just loneliness with better PR. Work helped a little. I threw myself into it. Long hours, tight deadlines, even the miserable meetings. But then I'd come home to a quiet house, eat dinner standing over the sink, and wonder how two people who said forever could implode so quickly. Then, one night in November, I got a call from Rachel's sister, Emily. I almost didn't pick up. Darren, she said, I need to tell you something. And I know you don't know any of us anything, but I think you deserve to know. Her voice was shaking. She told me Rachel had moved in with Liam. That they weren't just seeing each other, they were living together. As a couple. In his apartment across town. She didn't want you to find out like this, she added, as if that softened anything. I didn't say much. I thanked her for the call and hung up. I just sat there, staring at the floor. It wasn't shock. I think some part of me always knew it was going to happen. But the confirmation made everything harder to ignore. It wasn't just a mistake. It wasn't just a kiss or a text or a journal entry. They'd built a version of our life, together. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I started making plans. Not for revenge. Not to win some imaginary competition. I just started shifting everything that still tied me to her. I canceled our joint credit card. Closed the bank account. I even changed the locks, not because she had a key, but because it felt like taking a breath. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I booked a solo trip. Just 3 days. A quiet Airbnb near the lake up north. No Wi-Fi. No noise. Just space. I brought a notebook. Not to write letters or lists or goals. Just to unload. I wrote for hours. Not about her. About me. About the version of myself I'd shelved for a decade to keep our marriage afloat. And slowly, something started to shift. I remembered I used to like cooking. So when I got home, I made myself an elaborate dinner from scratch. I played music too loud. I sat outside under a hoodie and drank beer in the cold. For the first time in months I smiled. Not a polite smile. A real one. Of course, it didn't last long. A few days later, Rachel showed up at my door. No warning. No text. Just there. She looked smaller. Paler. She asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat down and stared at her hands. I made a mistake, she said. I know I don't get to ask for anything. But I needed to say it. I didn't interrupt. She told me she'd moved in with Liam because she didn't know where else to go. That it felt safe to stay close to someone who already knew the damage. But now she felt trapped. She said Liam was different now. Possessive. Jealous. Not the fantasy I thought he'd be. I nodded. You ever going to forgive me? She asked. I looked her in the eye and said, no. And it felt good. Honest. She left soon after. I closed the door behind her and felt no urge to open it again. After that visit, Rachel stopped trying to reach out. I guess hearing the word, no, out loud made it real for her. Or maybe Liam made sure of it. Either way, the silence that followed was its own kind of healing. I spent the next few weeks rebuilding my life, one quiet, unremarkable step at a time. I went to the gym. I reconnected with some old college friends over beer and bad karaoke. I even signed up for a woodworking class, just because I'd always wanted to and never had the excuse. I started laughing again. Not often, but enough. But the final nail, the thing that sealed this chapter shut, came in the form of a voicemail. It was Liam. I hadn't heard his voice since the bar. Hearing it again made my skin crawl. He sounded off. Tired. Slurred. Hey, Darren. I know you probably hate me. And that's fine. I guess I just wanted to say, I screwed up, man. I thought she loved me. I really did. But it's not the same when you're the fallback. She keeps comparing me to you. It's like I'm just your understudy. I can't do this anymore. He sighed, long and heavy. I don't know what I thought would happen. I miss my brother. But I get it if you never want to hear from me again. I wouldn't either. Click. I sat there with my phone in my lap, letting the words settle like dust. I didn't call him back. There was a time I might have. A time I would have told him to pull himself together, to own his choices, to come by for a beer and talk it out. But that version of me died the day I found the journal. I didn't need his apology. I didn't need Rachel's regret. I didn't need closure in the traditional sense. What I needed, what I finally had, was peace. The kind that comes when you stop holding your breath around people who keep letting you drown. A week later, I donated the last of Rachel's stuff. Books, throw pillows, those hand-painted mugs she loved. I didn't burn them. I didn't break them. I just let them go. I stood in the driveway and watched the donation truck pull away, then walked back inside and made myself a cup of coffee. I sat on the couch, stared out the window, and thought about everything I'd lost. And then I thought about what I'd gained. Boundaries. Perspective. Self-respect. I wasn't whole yet, but I was healing. And I'd take that over false comfort any day. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not because anything had been fixed, but because I finally stopped trying to fix people who broke me. It's been 9 months since I found the journal. It's strange what you start to notice once the dust settles, how quiet the house really is, how much space one person actually takes up, how silence isn't always emptiness. Sometimes it's safety. I don't talk about what happened unless someone really asks. I'm not interested in retelling the story at parties or turning it into a lesson. It wasn't a chapter, it was a whole book. One I closed slowly, painfully, but on my terms. Rachel sent me a letter last month. A real one. Handwritten. No return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly. She wrote that she was in therapy now. That she'd ended things with Liam after realizing she just transferred her confusion from one man to another. She said she hoped I was doing okay. That she still dreams about our house sometimes, and how I'd always leave a mug of coffee on the nightstand for her when I left for work. She didn't ask for anything. She just wanted to say she was sorry. I read it once and then placed it in a drawer. Not because I couldn't forgive her, but because I didn't need to anymore. Forgiveness isn't about giving someone else peace. It's about giving yourself permission to stop bleeding. As for Liam, I haven't spoken to him since the voicemail. I heard through my sister that he moved to Chicago. Got a job. Drinks too much. Keeps to himself. I wish him no harm, but I'm done pretending blood makes someone worth saving. These days I live differently. Sundays aren't for errands anymore, they're for long walks, good music, and cooking something new. I've started dating again, slowly. I'm more honest now, less afraid to ask questions that might hurt. Because what I learned, what cost me everything, is that silence can be a betrayal too. When we don't speak up, when we don't say this hurts, or I need more, or this isn't working, we give people permission to keep disappointing us. I won't do that again. Not for love. Not for peace. Not for the illusion of a marriage that should have ended years before it did. I kept the journal. I know. It's probably weird. But I didn't keep it out of sentiment. I kept it as a reminder of how easy it is to fall asleep in your own life. Of how important it is to listen, really listen, to the people you love. And of how sometimes surviving betrayal isn't about getting revenge. It's about rebuilding your soul quietly, piece by piece, until one day you look in the mirror and no longer see a victim. You see someone free.